Good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission for Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Ms. Allen.
Present.
Mr. Foster.
Present.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Ms. McSwain.
Present.
Mr. Peterman.
Present.
Mr. Rice.
Here.
And Mr. Barham.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, before you, the minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 regular meeting. If there are no amendments to the meeting, I need a motion and a second for approval.
Motion approved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Hanson.
Yes.
Ms. McSwain.
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
And Mr. Barham.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 7-0.
That's good. We have our financial for FY23, our financial audit. We will need a motion and a second for adoption.
Motion for adoption.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Hanson.
Yes.
Ms. McSwain.
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
And Mr. Barham.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Like that's a follow-up for the FY25 Budget Committee. Mr. Donahue.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a quick update on the Budget Committee as we're working on the operating budget for the FY25 fiscal year. Budget Committee, which is made up of our Treasurer, Commissioner Twain, and Commissioner Rice. We met last Friday, February 23rd, to kick off the budget process. We're working to update the current year's budget, and we'll work to have a draft before your March 26th meeting. We're on schedule. I think we've really got plenty of time to get the budget finalized and approved before the start of the fiscal year, beginning July 1. But again, the goal would be to have a draft for you at your next meeting to review and consider, and make any modifications based on comments. Certainly provide an opportunity for the Treasurer and Mr. Rice to add in additional comments you might.
At this time, I don't have anything.
As well.
Thank you for your service on that committee. Old business, Port of Virginia update. Morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Chair. Good to see you, sir. I will give an update. Not a big update, but I definitely want to give you remarks. And I'm so thankful my colleague Pat Kinsman was able to provide you all an update last month around offshore wind, exciting things going on at PMT. But just to recap for this past calendar year, 2023, as I've heard me say previously, sort of a freight normalization took place off of our peaks during the pandemic. We had about almost 3.3 million TEUs flow over our docks, which is looking back over our pre-pandemic highs. That's somewhere 400,000 new TEUs that the port is handling. So something that we're really proud of. And that volume is, I think, definitely equated to opportunities, not just for the region, but also as we look here in the city of Portsmouth. For example, obviously, what's going on at Interchange, and more excitingly, what's about to happen there on Walladuck Lane with Eunice, or thinking about Lineage Logistics and the success they're having there just outside the gates of VIG. Continue to attract the Red Sea. Obviously, a lot of people are cognizant of what's going on there. For us, it's not a volume impact as much as it is a transit time impact, with the ships having to go under the Horn of Africa, and that transit time adding to the overall time it takes to get from origin to Hampton Roads into our port. So that's something we're seeing, and having to deal with some of the obviously vessels that are off schedule and delays that come with that, and then subsequently increase in cost because of the added fuel expense. And so that's, again, something we're very much tracking. From the Port of Virginia perspective, we continue to see strength in our rail business. Why this is important for a local market is that, obviously we're accessing the hinterlands where there's a strong base of freight. You think in Chicago, Columbus, Louisville, Detroit. These are all markets that, receive a lot of shipping containers on the rail. And so being one of those primary gateways obviously adds to our portfolio of business, makes us obviously a more attractive port, and really lends to the fact that, we always talk about being a big ship ready port, being a port that can handle the largest ships that are calling the East Coast. And obviously those ships coming into port have a high concentration of rail business, which is good for our overall health and enables us as a port to continue to invest in our facilities like VIG, like the container yard, Burton Point, or NIT. We continue to be able to take those positive net incomes as a result of the increase in volume and reinvest in our assets, the Port of Virginia. So that is, I think, a great story why we are so keyed in on the rail opportunities we continue to see. Exciting that we've recently announced a new service coming off of the west coast of South America. Not many people think much about, okay, well, fine, that's great. But that's a piece of business that we've had an abandoned trade lane there here at our port. That's made up mainly of a lot of produce, so perishables. So really excited to be able to bring that product, and grapes. I know, it's grape season right now. A lot of grapes are coming into our country on the East Coast. And we haven't really participated in that type of business in the past because we didn't have the service. And I'm not saying it's an immediate light switch, but again, being able to go out to the market. I know our sales team down in South America is really canvassing those West Coast countries to try to find some of that cargo, avocados, there's salmon, there's all sorts of good produce commodities. So it's not big volume, but it's all product that we enjoy and stuff that we can handle here. So I know we're excited to see that product, that opportunity come online. Also, PMT, we had our third shipment this past week of monopiles. So if any of you were over there near the Midtown this past, I guess it was Wednesday, Thursday, I think shipped on Friday. Did really well. Very great production from our team at the port. The team is really beginning to kind of create a cadence and ability to move those monopiles on and off. We'll start to see mixed loads show up here in April, which is cool. So not only monopiles, but another element that is a subsea element that will begin to arrive, and then really start to look for components to outflow end of April, beginning of May for the installation. So what we've been talking about now for many years is coming to a reality, and you'll continue to see just more activity and I think more opportunities for the waterfront industries here in Portsmouth and throughout our region to support what's going on in offshore wind. And then last comment here, be on the lookout. We have, I think, no official announcement, but we're close to a milestone with the dredging project, as you've heard us talk about, not only being the deepest, but the widest. And so I think in the days to come, there will be some exciting announcements around the dredging project. And again, so achieving some milestones for that project as we begin to ramp down and complete the project. And so really that should gain us, I think, not only regional attention, but global attention when we go out to the marketplace to promote the fact, again, that the Port of Virginia and our harbor is the deepest, widest, and safest for transit of container ships and any maritime traffic. So again, just be on the lookout on that one, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any this morning.
Anyone have any questions?
What portion of your traffic comes around the Horn of Africa?
It's a great question. I have to come back on the actual number, but I want to say it's like somewhere like a third to less than a third.
Okay.
I will tell you, when we look at origin of we'll say imported cargo, so where we're our trading partners, China is number one, both import export, but the one that is continued to grow is India. And then subsequently some of the other Southeast Asian origins. And so those historically and typically we're always going through the Suez Canal. And so that is a trajectory, though, maybe at this point isn't the biggest portion of our business, has been on a steady incline. And as you know, the Suez Canal enables that much larger vessel passage than even the expanded Panama Canal, which is terrific. But, these real big ships are coming through the Suez. And so I would say majority are now bypassing container ships, and other vessels are bypassing and going into Africa. And maybe a few are sneaking through, but definitely something we're tracking.
Thank you.
So
Any other questions?
Chris, you had mentioned the increase in the produce, coming from South America. What's your impression on the region's ability to warehouse that produce, whether it be a, chilled or ambient state?
Yeah.
Do we have enough?
We don't, and that's a good point, Brian. I mean, there are a couple factors that, the market's gonna have to respond to. One is exactly that, the ability to, transload, those items in the temperature like you described, not the lineage, deep freeze, which is critical for proteins, but to have some of that chilled space. And so there isn't a tremendous amount of that. I know there are a few, like folks like Peyton Cold Storage, I believe has some, and I think others can adapt space to accommodate, but not big space, smaller. I think the other element is, some of these produces that arrive, need fumigation, and so that's also those sort of ancillary services that we have done in this market, but have, kind of maybe tapered down. And so I think there's opportunities there for some of those supporting fumigation services, which when I say that, it's done in a way that's, safe, and is regulated, but you have to go through those steps to be able to be permitted to provide that type of fumigation. But it's beginning to ramp up. It's something we're excited about.
Yeah, definitely something we want to, keep in mind and keep an eye on as we're looking at Portsmouth sites and opportunities for, new projects and investments that are by your growth.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it is about proximity to your point, Brian. I mean, it's coming off the ship. And then especially on perishables, they want to get in the marketplace ASAP. And they're not going to the grocery stores, distribution facility in the shipping container. Typically, they're being transloaded. And so to your point, I mean, that's why Portsmouth and having that type of, we'll say, higher value type commodities and I'm saying warehouses that are more customized to a particular commodity are critical. And so, there's real opportunity there for Portsmouth.
How big of a footprint do those fumigation and chill facilities typically need?
Well, I mean, I think, there's all sorts of technology out there, but, I can tell you some of the folks we've spoken with, they have what they call like cells they can activate. And so I think to get scale, you like about 100,000 to 150 for some of these, because it's such a capital intensive. I mean, I'm just anecdotally, like if a traditional dry storage facility is $100 a square foot to construct, I mean, some of these chilled spaces can be $300, $400 a square foot because of just all the technology and food space. So,
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, an update on 3920, 3930 Burton's Point Road, Brian?
Yes, this is brief. Just wanted to make you aware of the fact that we are working to finalize in terms of the purchase agreement with Stonemont Financial Group. They are the developer that has submitted an offer to purchase the property. We're working through just a few of the last conditions as it relates to their purchase. Primarily, some of the terms for what they will be building and any, repurchase rights that you guys see would have. And for some reason, the project did not move forward, which we don't expect, but just some safeguards that we typically try to build in to our agreements. And then, in addition to that, they're working through their due diligence in the meantime. So, obviously we've got some wetlands issues on the property, some environmental issues that we're working through. And they've been in touch with the Army Corps, Department of Environmental Quality, and consultants as they're, continuing to move forward. So we do expect that this will go under contract here soon. In fact, I think we just got maybe some comments here yesterday or early today as a follow-up. And, again, they are proposing to build 163,000 square foot storage facility. So as we talk about things like, chilled storage and fumigation needs, this could be a possible location for that to happen. So we'll be having some follow-up conversations with Stonemont to make them aware. And Chris, we may reach out to you and see if we can make an additional connection there for, potential partnering opportunities to capture some of that growth that's continuing to happen at the port.
What sort of timeline are you working?
Well, I mean, it's all driven by their speed and how quickly they can move through their due diligence process. I believe, Jeff, we've given 6 months for.
I think right now it's about a 6 month diligence period. They're clearly looking to move as fast as they can, but as Brian said, there's a lot to do as far as the property itself, EPA.
Mr. Hanson?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I'm seeing a lot of need for warehousing, just to contribute to your comments as well. There's also a crossover in on Friday. I'm going to go visit Interchange in Portsmouth to look at some of their warehousing space for the offshore wind industry. We have people who are desperate to stage equipment, and Interchange is actually an ambient space that has that is willing to demise as much or as little as anybody wants. So there is absolutely some serious competition for warehouse space, both in controlled temperature and ambient. And I just think that every opportunity that the city of Portsmouth has with offshore wind, obviously also in the fruit business, we need to take advantage of. There's people coming here desperate to find warehouse space. I get calls once a week. I'm going to meet with Dominion to look at this warehouse on Friday.
Okay.
So we will keep you posted as that moves forward, and hopefully we'll have some updates for you in March when we meet again.
Okay. The Norfolk Naval Shipyard Southgate Annex update?
I'm actually going to turn this over to Mr. Peterman. He attended a meeting, I believe, just last week and may have some updates to share.
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Hugo and I met with the shipyard last week. And the boundary line that, we showed on the chart, where the fence line is, that's where the fence line is. And that's a totally arbitrary line, is what they said. And, so if we need to go inland a little bit, the answer is, talk to us. The other thing is the pier down on the end is they're putting out a contract for demolition on that pier because it's falling into the water. They're getting admiralty claims because of the debris in the water and all that kind of stuff. So one of the, when we talked about if you can't pay them money, you have to pay them in-kind services. It's one of those things that they suggested that maybe whoever wants to use this land might want to either renovate the pier or demolish it for them, which would be a good in-kind, kind of payment. And Commissioner, did I miss anything?
Yeah, so the red line isn't exactly arbitrary. It's painted where the fence line currently is. The arbitrary part is it's painted where the fence line currently is, and so they're willing to work with us to move the fence line if there's a wider strip of property that anyone that we're talking with is, sorry, we can't do this, but if you gave us another 20 or 30 feet of land, it'll work. So that's the piece that I think is that they're willing to work with us on as we kind of court potential suitors here.
Yeah, and I guess the last item is the business that butts them on the south end there on the bottom end has been talking to them about maybe using some of their space for laydown areas for some of their business. I can't remember the name of the business right now.
Accurate Marine.
Yeah, Accurate Marine. So they're really looking to maybe do just a deal with them to, lay down some stuff there. So it's that, that could impact, this in another way because you got a competitor that's looking for the land. So.
Did you get a sense of the timeframe that the Navy has for moving through the, I guess, what would be a disposition process as far as making the site available? I think that's been one of the challenges is just the length of time to actually accept an offer or proposal.
Well, I think the area, that we're looking at right now, I think that could be almost immediate, but I think, and correct me if I'm misstep, this, but, that part is, they're ready to get rid of it now. But the rest of it, it's still, years probably from resolution, I'm thinking. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so they would be interested in beginning the process straight away. But if we look at, so Oceana has actually marched through the process and is now in the final stages of cutting deals with industry to take over property. That process has been a couple of year process. The good news is the folks over at Navy Region that have been working through the process at Oceana are the same people that would help the shipyard work through the process. And so there's learning curve. They at least know what needs to be done because of the work that's been done over at Oceana. So it ought not to take a couple of years for the Navy to get through the wickets, because they've already been through that learning.
Okay. I would recommend as a next step, we have put some feelers out, I guess I would say, and there are a couple of Portsmouth-based businesses that have expressed an interest in the property, maybe getting them to take a look at it. If that boundary line needs adjustment, determining how to do that or where to go with the fence line, and then maybe that would help trigger the start of the Navy's disposition process. So we can work to make that.
So you're taking that as an action item?
Yes, yeah, we'll work to make that happen in the next month and get them out there to walk the property and certainly, let you all know when we do that, so you can join us for that. But sounds like a next step at this point in time. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. New business, 06th Street.
Yes, Chair, this is a follow-up on a transfer of property from the Portsmith Redevelopment and Housing Authority to the PPIC. The Housing Authority is willing to transfer the land there to the PPIC at no cost, other than the PPIC taking responsibility for maintaining and insuring the property while we market it for development. There was a question earlier this morning that was asked about why has the property sat for as long as it has. This was one of the last remaining parcels of land within the EPA ABEX Superfund site project, and just received the release a couple of years ago. So it's now able to be marketed for development. So we'll be looking to do that. There are some things that need to be done to get the property ready for marketing, which we're going to work to do with the city attorney's office. And then we'll go ahead and list the property with Harvey Lindsay Commercial Real Estate, your real estate broker, to solicit development interest, which we've heard there's interest. So I think it won't be long before we're able to find an end user for the property. Certainly able to answer more questions.
Yeah, no, in fact, it was kind of funny after last meeting, I went down and looked at this property. If you're trying to find it on your GPS, it's really hard. But it's, there's buildings all around it. And I asked Brian earlier, that this is a valuable piece of real estate. Why has it sat idle for 20 years? And it was, then Jeff basically said it's just been released by EPA. So, I mean, this should be a near instant sale, I'm guessing.
Any other questions, comments?
And I assume the EPA release has some conditions similarly to the other ABEC Superfund property with the terms of the cap that's there and how deep you can dig and what you can do on the ground.
Yes, sir, that's correct. All the ABEX property is subject to, it's actually a city code provision that EPA made us adopt that basically governs what happens if you hit the warning line that's been put in place and how you have to dispose of soil.
Items submitted by commissioners. I do not have any.
Okay.
Report back.
Yes, just a few. We are working to coordinate with Avangrid Renewable Energies for a representative to attend a future meeting. We're going to work to make that happen in March to provide some updates on the Kitty Hawk offshore wind project. That was something that came out of the discussion when Pat Kinsman for report was in attendance last month. So we're going to work to facilitate that meeting and reaching out to Avangrid to coordinate that. Two quick project updates. Mr. Gullickson had mentioned the progress with Eunice. They're on Wild Duck Lane, adjacent to the Virginia International Gateway Terminal. That project is wrapping up. The building looks like it's ready to open any day now, Chris. But we will certainly keep you all informed of their progress and upcoming opportunity for ribbon cutting. For those who are not aware, the PPIC was instrumental in that project. You all worked with the developer to obtain the Port Host Community grant that assisted with the preparation of that land for development. So certainly want to make you aware of when they are opening and cutting the ribbons, so you can attend for the celebration that's going to happen.
Thank you.
And then lastly, Southeastern Freight Lines is expanding their Elmhurst Lane location, tripling their footprint there. If you are driving west on 264, currently you'll see on the north side of the interstate, there's a substantial amount of construction happening. That's much needed for their facility and what they're doing in the region. We met with a representative from Southeastern just a week or so ago, and this has kind of been a long-term plan of theirs that is finally coming to fruition. So we'll help them to grow in the region and provide additional transportation services throughout Hampton Road, but really beyond into other markets as well. So just excited that that has been moving forward. It's about a $20 million investment. And that property, I think, has been underutilized for many years. So they're finally enacting their long-term plan. They've got other plans to grow and expand there as well. So pleased for that to be moving forward. But wanted to share that. We get a lot of phone calls about what's happening here. So that's what's going on.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or concerns?
So Brian, when new industry that's associated with the port or industrial does a ribbon cutting, does the PPIC get invited to the ribbon cuttings? I'm thinking now Mills Marine last week. I think there's another ship repair company that's ribbon cutting this coming Friday. Do we invite PPIC to those events?
There are two happening this week, and I believe you should be receiving notices in advance of the ribbon cutting. So you should be receiving an email with the information. I'll work with our staff to make sure that you'll get one today with the upcoming events. We have two again this week. Crofton Industries, which was another recipient of a Port Host Community Grant, will be having their ribbon cutting on Thursday. Aaron, do you happen to know what time Thursday? That's at
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock on Thursday.
16 Harper Avenue.
16 Harper Avenue. And on Friday, I believe 1 o'clock, we have JRF Ship Repair, which is it's a Portsmouth business that has expanded. They've relocated and renovated a property on George Washington Highway. Really did a fantastic job overhauling the building. But we'll make sure you have the details for both of those. And the same will that you're aware of what events are happening. We welcome you to attend. We hope that you will. But if you have any questions or need to coordinate, we'll just let Karen Williams know.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns or comments? Hearing none, this meeting is now adjourned.